we were almost there with automating this mix. Shall we finish that job?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I forget whereabouts we were. I guess sort of chorus one-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
let's.
think you were making some adjustments that I think we just sort of said let's revisit that. I think you could just kind of quickly put them in because we were running low on time.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump in on this transition into chorus one, and we'll work back to the top of the track from there.
Okay.
Find myself wandering before you face down. The spirit pierced your side, brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water. When memory play.
Yeah, it doesn't sit too badly at all. I've just lowered the low pass frequency a little on the kick.
My throat is closing, no voice left to make a sound. I find myself wandering before you face down. The spirit pierced.
But I kind of like what the rest is doing. Have you got any thoughts?
Well, actually, yes. So this is interesting because at first yesterday when you had I guess you low passed the claps, so they kind of came in. I wasn't too keen on that initially, but then after I listened to it a few times yesterday, I thought I might actually be liking that. So that I think was cool. I was wondering if maybe my vocal should be a little bit more dry in verse one, and
Okay.
the reverb could kind of grow into that. I thought maybe that could be something. Obviously, I'm trying not to overdo it with just because there's a different section, like everything has to be different.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
not trying to overdo that, but that was actually an idea after watching some of your previous automation courses. That was an idea that I had had before we even began lessons, thinking maybe there should be less reverb on that first verse vocal and let that sort of maybe even that last line, before you face down, down, down. Maybe there's like a little delay on that or something like that. I
Yeah.
thought it was at least maybe worth a try.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's hop back to the top of verse one, and we'll focus in on that lead vocal and anything else that jumps out at us.
Okay.
When all I taste is the bitterness of pride, it steals my breath away and chokes me up inside. My throat is closing, no voice left to make a sound. I find myself wandering before you face down. When all I taste is the bitter.
It's a bit slightly more tasteful level of reverb there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then that down that you're talking about at the end there, I like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see if it works. It might be obnoxious, but I think it's at least worth a shot.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. So I'm going to go with the stereo delay, and then I'm going to set it to quarter notes equally on the left and right, but set it to a ping pong so that it'll alternate the sides that it is present in.
Okay.
Let's just.
Are you face down? Are you face down? Are you face down?
So effectively, we only want to bring that signal in once that word down has been performed. So we're putting down through the delay, but nothing else.
Okay.
And the slight quirk, obviously, is that you have to do both the left and right side.
With automation.
Are you face down? 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 Are you face down?
Let's hear that in the mix.
Sound. I find myself wandering before you face down.
Turn that left side down.
Sound. I find myself wandering before you face down.
That's tasteful enough to me.
Wandering before you face down.
Is it possible to get face out of there so it's just down?
Yeah. Now perhaps what we need to do, rather than just automating the...
Like actually cut it?
Yeah, the idea is good. Let's actually just make a whole...
A track for just that? Uh-huh.
Just the throw on it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's put that over there. Let's get rid of it on there. And then on here.
Are you face down? Are you face down? Are you face down? Are you face down? Self wandering before you face down. Self wandering before you face down.
Into that?
Yeah, this is a little nitpicky. I'm wondering if it can just maybe be moved so it's coming on the downbeat versus the upbeat on it. So it's like, for you, face down, down. I'm curious if that's it. I don't know if that's what I want or not. That might just be something that I have to toy around with a little bit more.
Find myself wandering before you face down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could go back to the way you had it, and then I'll just sort of sit with it for a minute.
Yeah, you can always have a fiddle with it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now something I thought might be quite nice was... Just a little automation of that wet-dry blend on the drums, just so it kind of slightly washes out before kind of cleaning back up again onto that second verse.
I like that.
Okay, let's go to the top.
Okay.
Okay, so important point here. What do we want the balance to be of the keys versus the pads here? I know what I would do, but what do you want?
I think because, and I'll defer to you after I give my opinion, but uh, I think if we start it a little drier and we're, with the vocals now, and we're sort of going on this journey where it's just kind of becoming more and more washed as the song progresses, it's probably the keys that need to be a little bit more, the piano, I should say, be a little bit more prominent, and then the pads can maybe slowly come in as the whole song just starts to get washed. But I'm open to other suggestions as well.
That was the correct answer. Well done.
Okay, good. Phew.
You passed the test. Okay, so the question is,
when all I taste is the bitterness of pride, it steals my breath away and chokes me up inside.
I mean, that balance there I quite like. So I think we're just really talking about what's going on in these first 4 bars.
Okay. And I think that that stratosphere pad could probably come down a little bit too.
At this point here.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
When all I taste is when all I taste is the bitterness of pride, it steals my breath away and chokes me up inside. My throat is closing, no voice left to make a sound.
That entry there is a little strong.
The spirit pierced your side, chokes me up inside. My throat is closing, chokes me up inside. My throat is closing, no voice left to make a sound. I find myself wandering before you face down. The spirit pierced your side, brings me to my...
Okay, so more or less we've gone from top to tail, or tail to top. So let's have a listen all the way through and just see what we pick up on that we still want to address here.
That sounds good. I have a couple thoughts, but
okay, cool.
If you
keep your notes and we'll...
Sure.
Cool. You go first. What have you got for me?
Okay, so yesterday when I was playing around with the file that you sent back to me, I always just get a little bit concerned that my lead vocal, basically every time I do this, I feel like it gets a little too crispy crunchy. So I actually put the Waves F6 on my vocal to do like some dynamic EQing, and I left everything where it was, but I just had it dip when it reached the threshold, like just before 4K, a little in. I thought I took a screenshot of it. I guess I didn't, but I had just like 3 dips that I did, like where I just almost did like the subtractive EQ method, just looking for really, really bright frequencies, and I just let it kick in when it reached the threshold. And I thought that kind of softened some of like the more pointy parts of the lead vocal. So that was. Do you want me to just kind of keep going, or do you want to do like one
Well,
thing at a time?
yeah, one thing at a time, I reckon.
Okay.
So, where are we? Do you know roughly where you were looking, or?
That pierced your side. It
Yeah.
brings
So
me to my knees. I sit with stars.
yeah. So probably like the number 5 point that's on there. I had it like up more toward 4K, probably, yeah, maybe even a little less than that. And I just let that, just kind of a tight cue, and I just let that dip when it was hitting the threshold on that.
Pierced your side. It brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes.
Yeah, I think it was only the range that I adjusted. Like I left the gain where it was, and
That pierced your side. It brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes. With just a touch, you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water.
Yeah, don't mind that at all.
okay. Yeah, I typically, I don't know, my voice just seems to, and this is a fairly dynamic song. Like there are a lot of softs and louds, and I find that usually just my own voice kills my ear at that frequency. So I tend to try to dip that down. Okay, so that. I was wondering, it doesn't sound this way unless I bring it into my system here. So like through the internet, I'm not really finding this. So I might not hear the changes that you make if you feel this needs to be addressed. But the toms feel just a little too forward for me.
Okay.
It's just like, it's very like right down the center, just kind of like almost punching me a little bit. And I wonder if they can just be ever so slightly pushed back. And I don't think it's a volume thing. I think it's maybe
Yeah.
actually I don't know what it is.
Well, I think we could go with our friend the enveloper straight away.
Yeah, okay.
And we can probably just go even a little wetter on the
Okay.
verb.
That sounds good.
Well, we've got a lot already, but
Jesus, will you use me? This Jesus is your side. Jesus, will you use me? The Spirit is your side. It brings me to my.
and if we A-B without the enveloper.
Jesus, will you use me? The Spirit. Jesus, will you use me? The Spirit is your side.
Yeah, it's just rounding them a bit.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Keep going.
Okay. Well, I'm actually totally convinced on the low pass on the claps in the beginning now, so I like that. You had an original note from before we had started this in yours, and I don't know if we addressed it or not. Do you think the sub bass still needs to come up in the bridge a little bit? It's like,
Wash me, remade me, bathe me, you claim me.
I mean, there's stacks of it in there. So, for me, no.
okay, cool. Do you think the ARP in, like when the ARP comes in the second chorus, do you think it comes in too bright? Like, do you think that could stand the enveloper?
I thought I put something about the arc, but that was chorus 1, so maybe it was the xylophone I was thinking of.
Okay.
This didn't.
You face down, spear that pierced your side brings me to.
No, I think it lifts nicely. I think it's doing quite a good thing there.
Okay.
So I was happy with that.
Okay. All right. Just two more quick things on my end here. I think maybe that the very in that outro section, I think maybe the background vocals could just lift up a little bit more there.
Enough?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then since all these changes have been really, really nice, and I'm not as convinced anymore on the volume adjustments on the master track. For some reason, my ear is just hearing them, even though it's only like 1 dB or half a dB, I'm just hearing them so abruptly. So I don't know. Do you think that those are still necessary?
Well, let's turn them off and listen without them, and
okay,
we'll see if we still think if we think they're missing or not.
Okay.
Cool. You're done?
I'm done. Yeah. So I'm ready to hear what you think.
So I had just a few notes. So I put ARP entry pre-chorus 1 was a bit strong.
Okay.
Wasn't the ARP though? It would have been. Maybe it was this synth here.
Find myself wandering before you face down.
I think just this momentum synth, we can just be a bit more subtle with that.
Okay.
Make a sound. I find myself wandering before you face down.
Yeah, just let it swell.
Okay.
BV's chorus 1, I thought were a little hot.
Okay.
Again, we're not talking much here. We're talking like
just like a little
half a dB maybe.
Okay.
The spear that pierced your side brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes. With just a touch, you lift me up.
That's enough for me.
Okay.
Clap entry chorus 1, too strong. Slow the filter.
The spear that pierced your side brings me to my knees. Just a touch, you lift me up on waves of blood and water. On waves of blood and water. On waves of blood and water. On waves of blood and water.
Yeah.
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 Synth bass verse 2 down a touch.
Okay.
So that's where we are here.
When memory plays its silly game, repeating every fault, all the things I didn't say, the same excuses beaten in the ground. I find myself wandering before you face down. The speed when memory plays its silly game, repeating every fault.
So I've just used the low pass
That's good.
rather than the volume. BV's chorus 2, again, I thought they were just a smidge strong.
Okay.
You that pierced your side brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes. With just a touch, you lift me up on waves.
Just there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one of these two at the end is a bit hot.
Water on
Nice delay.
Yep.
And then I would accentuate this tom fill going into the last chorus, but
Okay.
given what you said about the toms, you might be anti that. So let's have a little listen.
Consume me, Jesus, will you use me? The spirit beats your sound.
Just like
Yeah.
that, I just want to hear.
Sure.
Consume me, Jesus, will you use me? The spirit beats your sound. Consume me, Jesus, will you use me? The spirit beats your side. It brings me to.
I can dig it.
Just to accent that point a bit more.
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
In which case, that's good to me.
That's mixed. Yeah.
I mean, we can obviously you can go back and you can keep tweaking and tweaking, and you can do as much as you like when I send this back over to you.
Sure.
But I'm happy with that as a mix.
Me too. There's just like a very, very subtle thing that I just want to play with. With this is just me being particular about background vocals. There's like one part where I want one part to just come up a little bit more than the other, and that I can do.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
and because when you've got
great.
lots of lines like that, only you as the vocalist will know. I want that one just a bit, so you can.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tweak that, until your heart's content.
Right.
Okay, so this is a mixed track, right? So the $1 million question is, how do we finish it? And I know that you were wondering about sort of comparing that with different systems and how do you know if it's a good mix and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I also wanted to know too if you had any recommendations for. So I have Ozone Elements, just the real simple, the bare bones Ozone mastering thing. I don't really know how to use it. I think they were offering it free one day, and I just quick grabbed it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know if you recommended. Just obviously, because when you bounce this out, you have to crank it in the car, obviously, because it's not mastered yet. So the volume's not really there yet. So I wanted to know also if you suggested if there's anything additional to limiting that I could put on it or something like that, just so I could get it loud in the car and these other systems. And then obviously I would turn that off before I sent it to be mastered. But, any steps like that you would maybe recommend or suggest.
Okay. Well, let's sort of cover that stuff.
Sure.
So this is an amazing piece of kit, right? Sound ID reference from SonarWorks. First of all, you can pick a preset filter for whatever headphones you're wearing.
Oh.
So I've got these Beyerdynamic DT770 Pros on, and every pair of headphones, every pair of speakers you use, they have their own slightly different frequency curves, frequency responses. The job of Sound ID reference is to neutralize that so that you're listening to the honest representation of your mix.
Okay.
So what you'll hear when I turn this on is that the EQ of the whole mix changes. Now, for me, that'll sound like the perfect curve for these headphones. For you, it'll sound weird because you're not wearing these headphones. But
sure,
you'll just hear the point being. It's attenuating a bit as well. But if I looked up your headphones, what headphones have you got there?
They're the Audio-Technica ATH M50X.
ATH M50X wired. Select profile. Okay, and now we've got your headphone profile loaded in. So when we play it, it'll give you a fair representation of your headphones. Now, the objective is not to bring this in at this point in the mix, because it sounds weird, obviously, because we haven't worked with this throughout, and we couldn't have done because we're working on different headphones and it wouldn't work.
Absolutely.
But what you do is you put this on at the beginning, and then you just mix through this all the way through, and it'll just make sure that you're listening to a neutral representation of whatever you're listening to.
Okay.
I also have calibrations of my speakers, so of my monitors. They have their own curve, and you can load as many different profiles in as you like. So that's all amazing. This is, for me, it's one of the best tools that I have in my toolbox. What makes this particular plugin really useful is this translation check down here. So what we can do is say, right, I want to listen to this mix in a crappy car stereo. So car 1 is a harsh sounding entry-level sound system, right? So if we bring that in, right, there's a crappy car system. You know, that's your, I don't know, if you're in the UK, it's like your Fiat Panda, like, I don't know. I don't know what crappy cars you have over there in the States, but, you know, and if you change that profile to a nicer car, an executive sedan, you know, and there are profiles in here for all sorts of in-ear headphones, laptop speakers, smartphones, studio speakers, TVs, you know, so you can check how your mix is going to translate without having to take it anywhere.
Okay.
And obviously the way it does that is by these different frequency curve calibrations. So, you know, they've gone into a crappy car, into a Fiat Punto, and they've captured the impulse response, if you like, of that space, and then, you know, allowed us to use it. So this is a great tool, because what it means is once we've done our mix, we can then go, all right, how's this going to sound in the car? You know, and that's how it'll sound.
So what do you do with that information? So let's say it sounds absolutely terrible in car 2. Like, would you adjust the mix at that point? Or...
So the thing is that in any different listening environment, your track will sound different.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether it's a car, or whether it's a club, or whether it's a church, or a bedroom, or, you know, whatever it's coming out of, it's going to sound different. You will never ever make a mix that sounds the same on every set of speakers. It is physically impossible, right? What you can do, which is what this tool allows you to do, is to check that you can still hear all the different aspects of your mix. And that's the point, right? So when you're listening across these different environments, what you're not listening for is, does it sound good? Does it sound bad? Because if your mix sounds good, your mix sounds good.
Right.
What you're listening for is, can I still hear everything in my mix? Can I still hear the bass? Can I still hear the vocals? Is the balance of my mix still the same across those different listening environments? You know, is my vocal still on top? Can I still hear my kick and snare? That's what you're listening for. You know, so when
I did hear those things.
Yeah.
So
when you're listening through something that's super filtered, like a pair of crappy laptop speakers that has no low end, can I still hear the bass? The answer is just about, but maybe not quite enough.
Sure.
So we could then go back and redress that situation. You know, I'm not listening for, is that a good mix? Because of course it sounds crap, because it's coming through a pair of crappy laptop
crap
speakers.
System, yeah.
But what you want to know is, does it still translate as the mix that you've made? The answer is there's probably not quite enough bass in there, and it's probably a bit too squeaky shiny. You know, so that's the purpose of this. So what we can do is then go and try and redress some things that we think need redressing. So, like, if we go and listen through your average smartphone. Yeah, just a bit too shiny and not quite enough bottom end.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, that's what this sort of translation check thing is for, But obviously, if you're mixing through your own pair of headphones as well, then you make sure that you're mixing through a neutral response as well. So
you would leave that on. You would start with that and
I
just
would
sort of
start
leave
with
that on.
And actually, you can see that here where the Bayer Dynamics have too much high end. The curve that it's adding is taking that out. So so what I've been mixing through has basically been kind of encouraging me to put some of that high end in, and now it's saying, well, actually, there's your caution. So these things start to all fall into place. So
okay,
this to me is a great thing.
So with that being said, if you were mixing, thinking that things needed more high end, because of the fact that it has all been mixed together under the same circumstance, is it all relative at this point? So you don't really need to go back and make adjustments to every single thing that has high end in it. You can address that from the mix as a whole now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's smart. Okay.
Absolutely. So let's go and look at this mix a little bit. I'm just going to give myself a bit of space here in case I need to add some stuff, which I will. I'm going to start at the NLS, right? Now, what we haven't done at all is do anything on the NLS bus. We used all the channels, blah, 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 but we haven't done anything here on the bus. Now, I want to try and get a bit more saturation out of the bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive it here on the bus a bit. Now I might just listen to these elements and maybe drive a few other little bits. And to me, that sounds nice. Now I think I'm actually going to drive my whole mix a little bit at this point. And what this is going to do is, as it kind of saturates, it's actually going to help smooth some of that high end as well.
Yeah, it is.
With starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves.
Like if you listen to the shaker in particular, before and after, like before. Just smoothing a little bit. Okay, so I like that. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to do loads and loads. Just a few little bits. I do think that I want to get a bit more bottom end, a bit more bass out of this track. But I think what I'll do is actually try and put it in with a Pultec because they're great on bass.
Okay.
So let's go with a proper low end.
With starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves, blood and water, on waves, blood and water, blood.
And then we could use this to roll a bit of that high as well. which I like. If we go back to our laptop speakers, laptop, here we go. Like, how much more noticeable is that bass now? Like, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I can hear it now, and I was really struggling to catch it before.
Yeah.
Now, just this kind of slightly honky mid-range, I might see if I can control a little bit, and I'm going to go to a vintage console for that because I like it. With starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water, Feel it pierce your side, it brings me to my knees. I sit with stars. And that's enough to me.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what I do, and that, you know, that's mixed. You could send that off if you wanted. I would personally. I like to do another couple of things, which I'll take you through now. Now, these are plugins that you don't have, and these are by no means necessary, but they're plugins that I love and that I use all the time. So I'm just going to pull them up. 1, 2. Now, they're all kind of smart plugins. They're all like AI style plugins. And purists will go, no, if you're using AI, then you don't really know what you're doing. Well, that's nonsense. You know, this is the 21st century. AI is here to stay, and it's here to make your life easier.
Right.
If you wish to be a purist and not use AI to help you, by all means, that's great. That's totally your choice, and you work how you like.
Absolutely.
You know, for me, life is too short, and if someone's done a lot of clever hard work to make my life easier, then thanks very much. I'm going to accept that kind offer.
Absolutely.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull your reference track, the one that I like the most, into this plugin. Now, what it's going to do is effectively analyze in this plugin, Bassroom, the low end up to 320 hertz, and give me some suggested targets. So I can select a range of the track and then create some targets. It brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water, blood and water. So it's helping me to shape that low end, and you know, in comparison to the reference track that I decided that I liked. Again, I can do the same with the rest of the frequency spectrum. So I can pull in our track again and do the same with the top end. Roughly, I don't know, that section. It And then the last step is to use this match EQ.
With starstruck eyes, with just the side, it brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water. With starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water, blood and water. If it feels your side, it brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood.
And then if we go back to our reference track and then do a little A-B here.
Just a touch you lift me up on waves
Sonically, much more comparable.
Yeah.
And again, let's check a few things. So let's go back to our laptop.
It's crazy with that bass.
Just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves of blood and water, blood and...
So a few EQ things on my mix bus, which is just, it's thickening, it's taming, it's smoothing, and that has straight away made my mix translatable across multiple systems.
Wow. Okay.
Now, obviously, I've done that really quickly.
Yes.
So there's no way that you'll have kind of figured out everything that I've done there. But if I try and kind of break down a little bit more what I've done, these first two plugins, I think you'll have kind of figured out what was going on. So, we boosted some low end at 30. We attenuated some high end at 20k. So that was kind of thickening, smoothing. The console, we then attenuated some mid range. So just getting control of some of that kind of pokiness, that presence. This plugin, so this is bass room. So this only operates between 0 hertz and 320 hertz, and it's got 5 fixed bands, so 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 40 to 80, 80 to 160, 160 to 320. And you either push or pull those bands forwards or backwards, so pull it towards you if you want more of it, or push it back if you want less of it. And then these sliders here are the Q, so they allow you to kind of narrow that frequency point, which is what I was doing when I was soloing out a band and then listening to the cue to figure out how wide or narrow I wanted it. And there was no crazy science to that. It was just listening to it and going, at what point do I like how this sounds? It wasn't, that I was looking for any particular number. It was just, do I like it at 1.4 or do I like it at 1.7 or, which is all I was doing there. So that was what that was doing, and then just gain staging at the top there. Mix room does exactly the same as bass room, but it's from 320 up. You can actually create as many custom points as you like in here. It's a bit more complex, but effectively it does the same job. And all I ended up doing here was just pulling forward, boosting a little bit of this kind of 1K area.
Okay.
Which is all that was doing. And then the match EQ, it works in 3 stages. So the first stage is the current stage. So you play your track, you put it in learn mode, and it'll listen to your song and learn its response.
Okay.
In reference, you drag and drop in your reference track, and then you can match it and slightly tweak accordingly. You can decide how linked or separate you want those channels to be. You can decide how smooth you want its response to be, the curve that it creates as a result. You can fade the extremities as you wish, and then you can basically apply as much of it as you like. And all those things I just dialed in to taste.
Okay.
So it's, it's not I'm looking for a specific amount. It was, well, up at 100%. I really didn't like how it sounded, but as I pulled it back to around 30 is where I ended up. I liked, how kind of soft it ended up, but still with the presence that I had in my original mix.
Sure.
And none of these smart things are just going to, take the stencil of the reference track and paint it over the top of ours, because mixing is not as clinical as that.
Right.
Everything that we've done in terms of the bespoke arrangement to begin with, and then all, our own EQ, compression moves, etc., mean that there's no possible way that you can just stick, a template of one thing over yours and it'll sound like something else. That isn't how it works. But what it'll do is listen to the sonic characteristics of one thing that we've decided we like, and then you decide how much influence you want that to have over how this is going to kind of shape at the end. But it's not just the same. It's because mixing is not as simple as that.
Absolutely. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then this, all you do then is take off your limiter, bounce it out and send it out, and we're hoping that we've got at least, a mastering engineer will probably ask for, if possible, like at least 6 dB of headroom. So I don't know, let's see where we're at.
With starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves,
So we're giving a mastering engineer 9 dB of headroom, which they'll be like, oh, hallelujah, thank you so much, because because if you're sending them something that is already all the way up at -1 or
smashed,
it's like, well, what can they do with that?
Right.
So, this is a great place. And, we haven't landed on this number of, a safe bit of headroom by coincidence. Everything that we've worked towards in terms of our gain staging carefully and keeping things in control and in check from beginning to end has meant that we've landed on a number that is sensible. That's
absolutely,
that's not a fluke. That's
right.
That's practice and good practice that's left us in a position that is a good place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. There's a mixed track.
Wonderful. That's outstanding. Thank you.
When all I taste is the bitterness of pride, it steals my breath away and chokes me up inside. My throat is closing, no voice left to make a sound. I find myself wandering before you face down. The spirit pierced your side, brings me to my knees. I sit with starstruck eyes, with just a touch you lift me up on waves of blood and water, on waves. claim me. Emotions come and go as blood and water flow. Renew me, consume me. Jesus, will you use me?